Here we go. Uncle is going out for a pack of smokes. We can see right away Uncle's not carrying a sword, so if you're hoping for a sword on Uncle, not today. And we start off with a 5-arrow expansion in Uncle's house. As we take the walk up to Hyrule Castle here, I'll let you know, AmazingAmpharos is one of a few runners who were automatically qualified for the brackets by virtue of their performance in the Fall 2017 Randomizer tournament. AmazingAmpharos placed 4th in the Fall tournament and was defeated in the bronze match by JSR. fylion came through the Swiss stage of this tournament, securing a 5-2 record in the Swiss stage. Phylion's only 2 losses... Oh, it is a bow star. Look at that. So bow's a nice weapon. Phylion's only 2 losses in the Swiss stage were to Big Dunka and Mac and X, another 2 qualifiers for the brackets. So both of these runners have a great deal of qualification here. Our runner's starting off with the bow. That is a nice, powerful weapon. It does the same amount of damage as a Master Sword. You get a ton of ammo. You'll note that they started out with, I believe when you get the bow, you get filled to capacity. So I think since they got that arrow expansion, they actually started with 35 arrows. I know if you get like a bomb expansion, you'll fill up your bombs to capacity when you get that. Speaking of bombs, both of these runners are going to be looking for some bombs during the escape. There are 3 chests locked behind a bombable wall in the sewers, and it's a real pain if you can't find bombs and you have to go back for them. In particular, if there's a glove locked back there, and it's the only glove you have accessible, because then you got to take a long walk through escape to get all the way back there. So we've got our timers just about synced up, so we can see that fylion maybe has the tiniest lead on AmazingAmpharos. Not much. We see a lot of arrows in the pool, the item drop pool for these guards. So that's nice when you have a bow to start, but I'm sure these runners would like to see a pack of bombs more than they'd like to see a bunch of 5-arrow drops. So we have picked up the map, and that means that every chest from here on out is either going to be an item or a necessary key. If you don't pick up the map at any point in escape, you can safely skip the chest in the sanctuary because you know the map is going to be there, but we're going to get items or that necessary sewers key in every single chest from here on out. You'll see our runners put 4 arrows into the ball and chain guard to take him out nice and quick. Look at the sync on that big key pickup. Our runners are in lockstep. And we get the Ice Rod. Ice Rod is an interesting item to find real early. We're not going to get a Dark World map check for a little while. But when we do, we can see if that Ice Rod is going to be required, if there's a crystal on Trinix, or if that Ice Rod is going to be a potential troll with a Turtle Rock pendant. So, still heading through Escape, our runners are on the same screen. Escape is a really good place to get a glimpse into the sort of execution that our runners are going to bring to the table. And we see that both of them getting back up to the first floor well under 4 minutes. It's pretty good pace. Our runners are going to hope to make their way all the way through Escape in about 6 minutes. If they don't find any bombs, they won't be able to check that sewer. And so as a result, they'll get through Escape a little faster, but that's more than offset by the stress they're going to feel leaving those items behind. Well, Phylion's not going to feel that stress. fylion picks up a 1 bomb drop from a guard on the first floor of Hyrule Castle. AmazingAmpharos, still with no bombs, has to hope for bombs in the item pool of these snakes or the rats that are behind in the sewers. AmazingAmpharos picks up that pot there. There's always a heart under that pot, so if you take a hit in Escape, it's a great place to pick up some refill. fylion takes some hits, but gets a fairy drop. We knew that chest had to be the key. We gotta get through this door here. fylion with a bomb, AmazingAmpharos without. So you're going to see AmazingAmpharos spend a few more arrows, a little bit more time looking for that bomb drop. fylion doesn't have to do that. fylion takes out the final boss of Escape, the Key Rat. And AmazingAmpharos takes out a rat, not the rat. There's the rat. So, first potential point of divergence here. Phylion's going to check 3 chests in the back of Escape, and AmazingAmpharos will not be able to yet. Ooh, gets a bee in a bottle and a bug net. That's a good combo. A net in a bottle, but more importantly, that bottle is going to allow fylion to check the sick kit. AmazingAmpharos gets a bomb drop for himself and makes the same check. So, no item divergence just yet, but fylion a little bit ahead on time. Yes, I am indeed Firewood King. I am not Files. I am Firewood King. Nice to be with you. So, fylion with just about a 6-minute escape. AmazingAmpharos with a little bit of that stress getting that bomb. Gonna be just a little bit behind, but these runners still only a few seconds apart. AmazingAmpharos with a very interesting play. Save and quit out of Sanctuary and start back at Link's house. Gonna skip the early Kakariko check or take the south route. No, gonna head to the south shore of Hyrule. Interesting play. Very interesting play. You don't see this all that often. fylion with a nice tree pull for a bunch of bombs there. Phylion's got 15 bombs. That's all we're going to need for the early game. Might very well be all we need for the entire game. While AmazingAmpharos is already on to the dam and gets a glove. fylion gives us a lumberjack check. We just see 3 booms there at the lumberjack. While AmazingAmpharos with that glove. That's definitely an important thing to find. It's a piece of the Dark World puzzle. Definitely an item we're going to need sooner rather than later. It's also an item fylion is not going to be without for long. It's extremely uncommon to bypass the South Light World check. AmazingAmpharos getting another bomb drop, while fylion gets the boots. The boots sitting in the woods. So both of our runners with some important finds. Phylion's probably a little more important, getting the boots nice and early. We'll be able to do the things that AmazingAmpharos is doing just a little faster. fylion getting the mushroom pretty close to its vanilla location, just sort of slid over and fell down the hole, while AmazingAmpharos is checking out the mini Moldorm Cave. We're going to see a lot of locations real fast since there's a divergence so early in this game. AmazingAmpharos only has 3 arrows left and 5 bombs and 1 heart, so has to be careful here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. fylion immediately going to be able to check these bonk rocks here. Oh, wow! Gets the hammer in the bonk rocks. That's impressive. So now, between our 2 runners, we have 2/3 of the Dark World puzzle. We have a hammer, we have a glove. That is real impressive. We have a red cane over there in the mini Moldorm Cave. So fylion is doing the traditional route, going to give us a Kakariko check here. Already has the boots, is going to make quick work heading through here. Now what we see is AmazingAmpharos is going to make a Ice Rod Cave check. This is something... fylion gets the cape. The Ice Rod Cave check... Oh, fylion gets a cape and a sword. Kind of worried. We still have... We do have 2 pieces of the Dark World puzzle, though, so... Oh, never mind. Not kind of worried. Aga is now, just like that, dead. Because we have a hammer, we have a glove, we have a moon pearl. And when I say we, I mean we, the audience, we, the commentator. None of our runners actually has the whole picture yet. As I was saying, the walk that AmazingAmpharos has done to get to the Ice Rod Cave, that's something that fylion will be able to do a whole lot quicker with those boots. So fylion will pick up a few more seconds on AA. If fylion chooses to make that Ice Rod Cave check, fylion picking up the hook shot. It looks like AmazingAmpharos' play to skip Kakariko might not have been the right call for this seed, with all of the items that we have. Finally, I'm getting the news with the map check that we have 3 Light World crystals. Both of our runners, I think, now have done that. So we've got a ton of Sphere 1 items. We've got a ton of items in Kakariko. We have a ton of items in the South Shore. This is a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. AmazingAmpharos still holding off on Kakariko. Going to get 3 items here in Sahasrara's closet. AA, of course, knows that the Eastern Palace is a crystal, and even without the lamp, I'm sure if AmazingAmpharos feels like it, we'll be able to full clear Eastern Palace at this time. And given that we don't have a save and quit, I reckon that's exactly what's going on. I believe the sick kid just gave fylion a little bit of money. I heard the cha-ching. I wasn't looking at fylyon's screen. Yep, money kid. fylion with the boots will be able to see what's in the library, and if it's important, grab it right away. fylion sees a full heart on the library, and at this early stage in the game chooses to pick it up. Heads from 5 hearts to 6 hearts. Nice to find that. A lot of runners, I imagine, would pick that up. If it were a heart piece, maybe skip it, but a full heart for just a few seconds of investment at this early stage of the game, absolutely worth it. And fylion, I couldn't see what that item was. It ended up behind the magic meter there, but fylion didn't think it was important, so probably not that important. AmazingAmpharos is on the way to the first chest in Eastern Palace to find the big key. And fylion is going to be grabbing his glove from the dam, going to be grabbing the red cane in Mini Moldorm Cave. A lot of stuff real fast in this seed. fylion remembers with... Oh, doesn't get the hookshot clip. Opts not to head out and head back in to try it again. Might as well. If you've already messed it up, do it the vanilla way. AmazingAmpharos, still no items in Eastern Palace yet. What fylion was trying to do there with the hookshot was clip through the block. The game doesn't think the block exists while it's moving, so while you're pushing the block, you can shoot the hookshot through it, head to the chest, and grab the chest without having to make 2 trips in and out of the dam. If fylion had gotten that hookshot clip, that's another way he would have been able to save a few seconds on AA. AA trying to use the bow there to get the quick kill in that room, but still manages to spawn 1 Stalfos extra. Still no items from Eastern Palace. So there will be an item in the big chest, there will be an item on the other side of the dark rooms, and there will be an item on Armos. The item here in the big chest is in logic, because we didn't have to pass through the dark. The item here... Oh, AmazingAmpharos going to make use of the fact that he has a fairy, has a bugnet and a fairy. That's some heads-up gameplay there from AA, grabbing those fairies from that fairy room here. So this chest is in logic, and it'll have an item. So that 20 rupees is in logic. You're seeing here fylion going to gain a little bit of time taking this long dash to the Ice Rod Cave. AmazingAmpharos is going to do these dark rooms here. Does not have the lamp, and so whatever AmazingAmpharos finds on the other side of this dark room is not considered to be in logic. But this is generally considered the easiest dark room in the game. This or maybe the old man on Death Mountain. So we're not going to see AmazingAmpharos have much difficulty here. Does not have a sword, though, because the sword was in Kakariko. Is using the boomerang to locate himself in the room. So AmazingAmpharos has the key, and will now be heading through, leaving the dark here. Oop. AmazingAmpharos down to a fraction of a heart, while fylion now has the entire Dark World package and is going to head into the Dark World right by Hype Cave. We see Crystal Turtle Rock, we see Pendant Pod, Pendant Swamp, and Pendant Ice. Red crystals at Thieves and Skull Woods. Oof! AmazingAmpharos takes a death there, but has that fairy, wisely picked up that fairy, and will be able to do the clip to activate the vanilla big key chest and find 5 bombs. Hype Cave, not so hype heart piece. Moderate hype full heart, not so hype money. Blue mail, nobody's going to complain about that, and a full heart. So a little bit of safety, 2 full hearts, a heart piece, blue mail. Early in the Dark World, not bad. Well, AmazingAmpharos heads into the fairies. Again, good call. AmazingAmpharos knows that these fairies are here, got the net collection, got the net, got the bottle in the back of Escape. The dark room that AmazingAmpharos is going to head into is a little bit harder than the first one. fylion could use some fairies of his own right about now. I'm going to check Stumpy. Stumpy with some explosives. So the trick AmazingAmpharos is using here is if you stick that Igor with arrows before it starts moving, then you can tell where it is because the arrows will stay stuck into it. So that's a common strategy used in this dark room. AmazingAmpharos pulls it off, gets through the dark room, and fylion is going to check the digging game. Is between 1 and 30 digs required. We're already well over 20 digs at this point, so this is going to be a long digging game. I believe that was 27 or thereabouts. AmazingAmpharos showing off how the cane can be used as a weapon. Trying to kill that last little Popo. I believe that's what they're called. fylion, following in AA's footsteps now, is going to head into Eastern Palace just a little bit after AmazingAmpharos finishes up. AmazingAmpharos getting a pretty quick kill on the Armos Knights for just a piece of heart. No progression in Eastern Palace, but AmazingAmpharos does have the first crystal of our seed just around 17 minutes. AA is going to save and quit out here. I have to imagine this has to be Sanctuary, has to be Kakariko. So many items sitting in Kakariko. AA going to be heading up into the woods. We'll acquire the boots here, as well as the mushroom sitting down inside the thieves' hole. Giving us a tree pull, gets the set of 32 bombs that fylion got right out of Escape. And here's the boots. AmazingAmpharos will probably realize at this point that, in all likelihood, his opponent went with the traditional route, has had those boots for just a few minutes longer. Probably amounts to, I don't know, maybe around a minute worth of difference just on account of the boots. Maybe that's even extreme to estimate about a minute. If I recall correctly from the bio document, AmazingAmpharos does not like seeing early boots. We have a question in chat. What can Aghanim have to be required? In this seed, Aghanim is definitely not required. Aghanim can be required if there's a required item on the Lumberjack Ledge, which there's not, because we know it's 3 bombs. Aghanim could be required if we don't have access to the Dark World or to the east side of Dark World, but we have gloves and a hammer, so that gives us access to all of the Dark World, all of the main part of the Dark World. Yes, and the real troll for Aghanim is if the hammer is at or locked behind the Pyramid Fairy. You need to do Aghanim to get the castle portal so you can lug the big bomb up to the Pyramid Fairy, since you'd normally have to go through hammer pegs to get there. At this point, the equipment difference is all Kakariko. AmazingAmpharos went straight to Eastern Palace, South Dark World, has not checked Kakariko yet. And so this equipment difference is going to be equalized real quick here, as AmazingAmpharos checks these Kakariko locations. And then, as was pointed out in the chat earlier, AmazingAmpharos will have the appropriate items to get into the Village of Outcasts right after doing a full clear of Kakariko. And that, I imagine, is the play. But when I say I imagine something is the play, you have to remember these guys know a whole lot more about how this game works than I do. That's why they're in the brackets, and I am not exactly in the brackets. AmazingAmpharos, in particular, I know, has just a really keen mind when it comes to reading the logic of this game. A lot of AmazingAmpharos' success in the full tournament is just from having just a really quick read of how these seeds work. Not to say that fylion is any slouch. Anyone who gets into the brackets has a really strong combination of execution and routing seed logic. Indeed, AA qualified from finishing in 4th place in the fall tournament. Finishing behind JSR in 3rd place, Kransoon in 2nd place, and Ben, a 2-time winner, getting his 2nd win in 1st place. fylion, unfortunately, taking a death in the dark there. So that's going to cost a little bit of the time, probably a lot of bit of the time, actually, that fylion picked up from early boots, early hookshot. So this is still a very close race at this point. fylion does successfully pull off the skeleton quick kill room, while AmazingAmpharos is going to show us a nifty glitch. AmazingAmpharos is going to expend all of his magic power. He's going to switch to the Cane of Samaria, try to use it, fail, and switch immediately to the mushroom. And the game is like, yeah, that's basically the powder, so we'll let us check the magic bat out of logic. This could be a huge sequence break if it turns up to be something. And it is. It is another bottle, so that's nice to have. AmazingAmpharos has already shown reliance on the bottles, grabbing some fairies in Eastern Palace. So I reckon that AmazingAmpharos, with the bottle and the net, will not be too broken up to find that. But if that had been a progression item, that would have been a key sequence break. That fake powder glitch is not considered to be logically required, but it can be a huge thing if there's a required item on the bat and the powder is deep in the logic somewhere. So we're going to be seeing on both sides here stuff that we've already seen. So already this has been a really interesting race. It's not often you see the sort of divergence that you do here. It's extremely uncommon to see that late Kakariko play that AA gave us. So I don't know about you. I'm already entertained. So once you've finished paying attention to this exciting battle on fylion side, throw them some follows. I'll get their information up in the chat. AmazingAmpharos left this well to the end so that he can grab it and presumably head straight into the Village of Outcasts. A sequence break up Death Mountain is possible now, but it is a sequence break without a lamp or a flute. And fylion, but the save and quit, might be thinking exactly the same sort of thing that AA is here. AmazingAmpharos is heading towards the portal into Village of Outcasts, and fylion is going to be hot on his heels. So our runners are neck and neck at this point. Basically, they all have what everyone else has. AmazingAmpharos showing a tremendous thing to know, a little but important piece of game knowledge there. That tree up above the portal If you bonk it, it drops a full magic refill. That's a huge thing to know about if you don't have a full magic. A lot of runners will, if they have the flute to the witch and buy a full potion, but that full magic refill, fylion doesn't need it. That full magic refill is a great thing to know about. AA in the chest game gets nothing of great significance. While fylion, another point of divergence. fylion is going to check out Skullwoods. Skullwoods is not completable without the fire rod to get to the boss, but there are several items that are accessible. AmazingAmpharos finds the compass in the first chest of thieves. fylion gets a key in the first chest of Skullwoods. That'll make his routing a little cleaner. Will not have to head to the bumper room, the pinball room. AmazingAmpharos with the big key in thieves. fylion with the compass, so no items yet in either of these dungeons. Thieves' Town has 4 items somewhere in it. Skullwoods has 2. Still no Skullwoods items, but fylion is going to pull off a bomb jump to get over to the big chest. AmazingAmpharos with the map from Thieves' Town. fylion with the bomb jump. AmazingAmpharos gets the first item in Thieves' Town. It is money. fylion gets the first item in Skullwoods. It is also money. So, AmazingAmpharos going to be heading to the back of Thieves' Town just as fylion heads to the back of Skullwoods. Only one more chest fylion can check, but the Cane of Samaria will make this check a lot more pleasant than it would be otherwise. And fylion gets a key, and that is it on Skullwoods. Skullwoods will not be cleared any further until fylion comes back with the fire rod. AmazingAmpharos in what some call the Hellway. Got our fire snake, we got our not-so-friendly Patrick Starfishes. Many runners will try to use a dash straight up the middle there, the so-called God Pixel. And you can set that up by dashing straight out of the doorway, because the center, just checking that bumper ledge, it's just a shield, fylion gonna skip it. You can set up that God Pixel by dashing straight out of the doorway, because the center of the room is a multiple of 4 pixels from the doorway. That's how the dashing works. You travel 4 pixels at a time. AmazingAmpharos grabs more money from the attic of Thieves' Town. You saw AmazingAmpharos take a hit there from the grasshoppers. Those guys do 2 hearts of damage if you're on green mail, and AmazingAmpharos is indeed on green mail, because the blue mail that fylion has was in Hype Cave, and AA has not been down that way yet. So AA, with 2 hearts, I believe has at least 1 more fairy in a bottle that he picked up in Eastern, and both of our runners are going to be in Thieves' Town at the same time. Thieves' Town is full clearable. With the hammer, we can get to the big chest. That's the real stressor of Thieves' Town, is coming in without the hammer and having to leave an item behind in the big chest. So fylion going to be grabbing all of those dungeon items and I think 5 rupees from the front half of Thieves' Town. AmazingAmpharos gets the key in the Maiden's chest. We'll be heading over to the big chest on the left side of the basement. AmazingAmpharos pulling off a key dash there. You dash straight from the door, straight through the other door to get a 5-arrow quiver upgrade. And AmazingAmpharos will be on the way to blind the thief. Chad is mentioning that Thieves' Town is garbage. That's true, but it is one of the 2 crystals required for the Pyramid Fairy. So once our runners have the Fire Rod and can kill Mothula, the Pyramid Fairy will be in logic. AmazingAmpharos showing off some cane strats. I was going to say scripted fight, but more exciting than scripted fight is starting off with a scripted fight and then using the cane, and gets blind down nice and quick to pick up the last item in Thieves' Town, which continues to be garbage. that is AA's second crystal at just under half an hour, and is half of the puzzle for the Pyramid Fairy. Those red crystals down in the tracker there, they are what would in the original game be the 5th and 6th crystals. They unlock the Fat Fairy at the pyramid. In the original game, you'd grab your silvers and your gold sword there. In Randomizer, we put 2 chests there and throw random stuff into them. And as I mentioned, Pyramid Fairy is locked behind the fire rod because Mothula is locked behind the fire rod. So the question is now, where does AmazingAmpharos go next? With the hammer, has access to the south and circle around to Pod, that side of the Dark World. Does look like we're going to head south, can check the digging game, Stumpy, Hype Cave to get the blue mail and a little more health. May very well continue. All the way to the east. We'll be in the vicinity of the pyramid. Sorry, of the pyramid of the catfish, if you're willing to take a little bit of a walk. It's also true, chat reminding me that we got that mushroom real early, the witch is accessible. That mushroom could be something. Both of our runners have the equipment to pull off the fake powder. AA has already done it and found that the bat was nothing of great significance. fylion, I don't believe, has done the fake powder. fylion starting off with the scripted fight as well. I call it a scripted fight because if you do the same stuff every single time, Blind will respond the same way every single time. And if you learn the pattern, you get Blind down, fylion with the tiniest, like, half a second slower than a perfect fight. If you have a perfect Blind fight, Blind will die on the left out of the light. So fylion with just a half a second slower than that perfect fight. I'm not gonna give him too much trouble for that. It's better than I could have done. So, while AA heads into the cave of moderate hype, a little bit of health here. I imagine AA will continue heading eastward in the direction of Pod. Pod is full clearable, though out of logic without the lamp. Though the lamp may very well be in one of the parts of Pod that is accessible without the lamp. What was in Mini Moldorm? The item of significance in Mini Moldorm today was the Cane of Samaria. fylion choosing to start in Link's house, fill up on life, and head in the direction of the Dark World portal. fylion did not skip Dig Game. fylion headed into the Dark World early in the south and checked Hype Cave and Dig Game much earlier than AA did. AA finding the red mail real soon after finding the blue mail. So if fylion chooses to head up to the pyramid, we'll see him pick up that red mail real soon. Is Pod completable without a lamp? It is completable in the sense that if you know your dark rooms, you can do it. But the game will not expect you to clear Pod without a lamp. The game may expect you to dip into Pod and grab some items in the lit portion, but you will not ever be expected to travel through dark rooms without a lamp. fylion on the way to his red mail, so both of our runners will be well protected by 40 minutes. fylion opting to get it. I have seen runners skip red mail when it's in that location there. Some runners live by that, you know. Some runners live by that saying that you sometimes get from Uncle, red mail is for cowards. I myself, I will take every mail that I have the option to get. What did I do to files? No comment. AmazingAmpharos grabbing some more health. fylion not heading up to Catfish. That will not be a problem. I don't think fylion is going to be too stressed out about a single heart container with red mail. So, fylion saves and quit to Sanctuary. This could be a sequence break up Death Mountain. AA is heading in the right direction. Yep. So this is going to be a sequence break up Death Mountain. Death Mountain expects you to have the lamp and a glove, or the flute to get up there. We have neither. What is important here is we know that Misery Mire is a crystal, so we need the flute this seed. If AA finds the lamp up here, then we know that the flute is somewhere not locked behind Death Mountain. If the... what did I say? If the lamp is up here, we know the flute is somewhere else. If the flute is up here, we know the lamp is somewhere else. That's what I mean. So the sequence break... the items you get on the sequence break can be important, but just as important could be the information you get limiting where locations, where items can be. The old man has given us the ability to do a little bit more destruction, 5 bomb capacity upgrade. Fylion got a key in the very first chest of pod, so this pod is not bow-locked. Not that it matters, on account of the uncle giving us a bow. AmazingAmpharos sees the 10 bombs, one of the items the uncle could have given us, on top of Spectacle Rock. Ooh, that is something of significance. That is the Master Sword inside Spectacle Rock. AA going to be picking that up right away. That's a great thing to find on a sequence break. You're never going to complain about finding a sword upgrade or a mail upgrade easily accessible. Even if it's on a sequence break, it's not going to confuse you too much when the logic comes around to it. Fylion has entered the bow-locked side of pod. Does not have to pull off that nifty potion glitch that we sometimes see in this room. Can handle those mimics with ease. And here on the right side of pod, we find a key. I bet it's another key. It's another key. That's the thing with pod, lots of keys. So AA still out of logic on the east side of Death Mountain, while Fylion is in logic on the east side of pod. Oop. Takes a bit of a tumble down the hole. Both of our runners, in fact, falling through a hole at the same time. Hole sink. AA, in Paradox Cave, finds the mirror. So, mirror in its vanilla region of the map. Fylion going to give us, it looks like, a setup for a hammer yump. AmazingAmpharos getting the bacon coin, the flippers, oh boy, the mitts. Oh boy. A red rupee. So this is an extremely stacked Paradox Cave. This is where the hype was. We got Quake, we got Mirror, we got Flippers, and we got mitts. So AmazingAmpharos has blown a lot of locations open with this sequence break. As I mentioned, if we find the flute or the lamp as a result of one of these sequence breaks, we'll get information as to where the other has to be. Well, oh boy, Fylion finds the fire rod in the dark maze in pod. Wow. Oh boy, that fire rod definitely required. We gotta kill Trinex. Uh-oh. Fylion takes another death in the dark. One in Eastern, now in pod. Might have been an intentional death, though. I wasn't paying too close attention to what happened in pod, so if I missed anything, I'm sure chat will yell at me. It's just me over here, so I only have 2 eyes, and I'm not cross-eyed. They only go to one side of the screen at once. Didn't look intentional? Sure. That may very well have been an accidental death. AmazingAmpharos has made use of the net to grab some fairies and has not died and gone back to the beginning of a dungeon. So, Fylion has the fire rod out of logic. That's actually a really nice thing to find in pod if you're planning on full clearing it, because the... you see right there, you get to light up some torches and see. The game does not treat the fire rod as logically required for dark rooms, only the lamp, but a lot of the trickier dark rooms in pod, in particular the basement turtle room, have torches that you can light up. AA didn't get anything of great significance in Hookshot Cave or Super Bunny Cave, if I recall correctly. Is going to give a check on the Turtle Rock Medallion. Today's Turtle Rock Medallion is Ether. We need that. We don't know where it is. And with a mirror here, I don't know if we've seen the floating island. It is just 5 bombs. AmazingAmpharos is going to be heading into Spiral Cave while fylion checks the vanilla big key chest in pod. There is the lamp! The vanilla big key chest in pod is the lamp. Interesting that fylion saved and quit. Because he could... pod is a pendant. That's why he's not finishing pod. Pod is a pendant, and he is going to leave it there. Must have found all of the items. fylion is now going to head up Death Mountain in logic and find a big hole in Paradox Cave. AmazingAmpharos has picked up another sword here. I'm guessing that was in Spiral Cave. So, yep. Tempered Sword in Spiral Cave. So we've got Tempered Sword. We've got Red Mail. If you're looking for your Ganon killing pack, maybe you're hoping for silver arrows, but these runners will know how to do silverless if those silvers don't show up. AmazingAmpharos cannot complete Hera, does not have a fire source. That could be a big advantage for fylion, having a fire source, being able to finish Hera. AmazingAmpharos will have to go to pod, Pendant Pod. That's the only place where there's fire in this game. And grab that lamp and or that fire rod. Will definitely have to grab the fire rod to finish this seed. Will probably want to grab the lamp. Spike Cave giving us a full heart container. fylion grabbing a little bit of hook dash speed there. AA with the flippers can check flipper lock locations. Shows us that the Lake Hylia Island is just a heart. Is going to take a look at the hobo. fylion on the way to Paradox Cave to grab a whole bunch of loot. Hobo today with 50 bucks. And fylion on the way to a huge haul here. Gets the Titan's mitts, gets the flippers, gets the bacon coin, and gets some less important items from this side of Paradox Cave. While AA is going to take the warp to Zora, can check 2 items in the Waterfall Cave, can pay 500 bucks to the scam fish, and can see what that item is on the Zora ledge and grab it if it is something nice. We get a shovel! We get 20 bucks. And fylion gets dead-rocked. fylion gets dead-rocked and decide, let's just do Hera first. Let's just get Hera. No? Doesn't. Heads all the way over. fylion going to pick up the Tempered Sword before heading into Hera. fylion doesn't know it's the Tempered Sword, but we'll be picking it up. We didn't see anything good on the Zora ledge. I think it was 20 bucks. And now we have the Scam Fish. Tempered for fylion, and Scam indeed for AA. Interestingly, those flippers, they, at present, don't lead to progression. Swamp Palace is a pendant, Ice Palace is a pendant, and there was nothing progression locked behind those Light World flipper locations. So, why did we get the flippers? Did we get the flippers because they had to be somewhere? Or did we get the flippers because the game wants us to go into Swamp or Ice? The world may never know. I bet the runners are hoping the world doesn't know. I bet the runners are hoping that they will get everything they need before they head into Swamp or Ice. AA on the way to the Witch. Will turn in the Mushroom. AA has already fake powdered. So, giving up the Mushroom here doesn't matter. Of course, AA has the actual powder as well. That is a nice item to have. That is also a nice item to have. At 46 minutes, AA picks up the Butter Sword. If fylion chooses to turn in that Mushroom, he will also have the Butter Sword. And we know the flute is in this seed. We know we have the flute available because we have to get to Misery Mire. So, fylion will be able to do a very quick Mushroom turn-in at some point before the end of the game because he will have the flute. So, it is entirely possible, unless fylion happens to be in go mode with that flute, that fylion will check the Mushroom, get the Butter Sword, and we will have a lot of firepower on our hands heading into the end game. fylion on the way to Tower of Hera. Tower of Hera is completable for fylion. He has both fire sources, which were in Pendant Bod, and so we will see the two items here in Hera. We will get a crystal. Well, there's one of the items. AA saw that, did not pick it up. fylion is going to grab the key from the chest up top, and then head down into the basement for his coffee break. fylion indeed grabbing a coffee break while AA heads into Pendant Pod. So I got a breather. I get a little bit of a breather. While I'm here, while we have a breather, I'd like to give a huge thank you to our tracker today, DragonMaster0283, and our restreamer today is NoName4444, who goes by SassProGuy on Twitch. I'm doing this all by myself, so the fact that we have a great tracker and a great restreamer is even more important for this race than it normally is, because they're keeping track of a lot of things that I'm not going to be able to see. As I said, I only got two eyes. They only go in one direction at a time. So, a huge amount of thanks to them for keeping us put together. AmazingAmpharos does not need to do the potion glitch, has the bow. fylion is in the upper part of Tower of Hera. That's where the new stuff is happening. If you're looking for stuff that none of us have seen before in this race, you're looking at fylion screen. AmazingAmpharos was not able to do this because he did not get both fire sources in Pendant Pod. That's where he is right now. fylion getting the map, so I believe our last two items are here in the big chest. That's half magic. That's pretty nice. And the last item will be on the Trolldorm himself. Himself, herself, itself. I'm not sure. Has anybody asked Trolldorm? I don't know if Trolldorm has filled out the bio document as to Trolldorm's preferred pronoun. AmazingAmpharos getting the lamp early in Pod. fylion got the lamp very last and did all the dark rooms. AA, getting the lamp early, will not have to struggle around in the dark rooms the way fylion did. That's right. Trolldorm didn't have an item because the other item was in the basement. That's right. That's right. There we go. I made that mistake actually in one of my tournament races. Not in Pod, not in Hera rather, but in Desert. I saw a garbage item on the torch and forgot to mark that it was a garbage item on the tracker. And so I went and I killed Pendant Landmo hoping for an item and got a dungeon item. That was less fun. I lost that race. It happens. But I'm still hanging around. I get to talk about races. You get to hear me. fylion in Spike Cave is going to get, I believe, a full heart container. AmazingAmpharos going to head into the dark maze of Pod. AA knows that that harmless Hellway chest is a key. AA, as I mentioned earlier, has a great grasp on the logic, including the key logic, knows that harmless Hellway chest has to have a key, otherwise this dungeon could be key locked, and so skips on the harmless Hellway, gets the fire rod here. fylion going to show us King's Tomb. This is something that AA has not checked. And it is just a piece of heart. So, both of our runners on the same screen for a little while. I'm going to go screen for a little bit. They have done very similar things, with the exception that AA has not done Hera, did not have a fire source when he went up there. So that's the main difference between these two. fylion with the fire rod. I mentioned the first time fylion was... I mentioned around Thievestown that the fire rod would put Pyramid Fairy into logic. fylion knows this, and so we'll be heading in to Skullwoods. AA will also know this, and we'll be heading into Skullwoods. So we're going to see some Skullwoods sync for a little while here. AA has not checked anything in Skullwoods, I believe. And so AA is heading straight to the back. Uh-oh. Oh, no! fylion talks to the hand. Doesn't do much talking, actually. Just sort of goes for a ride. AA is going to head straight to the back, and this play is actually going to work out for AA because we know that the front of Skullwoods... Well, the front of Skullwoods had one item. If AA chooses to hunt for that item, it'll cost him some time. Okay. fylion saving and quitting out of Skullwoods. I think that was a mistake. Because we saw some rage slashes there. I think that was a mistake. That is a rough time loss. AmazingAmpharos gets bunnied here in Skullwoods. So, fylion handing a little bit of time back to AA with that misclick there. While AmazingAmpharos heads into the Mothula fight with the gold sword. If you bring the gold sword to the Mothula fight in the vanilla game, it will do nothing unless you poke, because the developers of this game, skilled, talented developers though they are, kind of hacked the Mothula fight together not so well. And in order to prevent Mothula from taking damage from the spikes, they set spike damage to be 0. That's why if you knock Mothula into the spikes, you don't get anything. You don't get any damage. But the gold sword and the spikes are in the same damage class. So in the vanilla game, you can't damage Mothula with the gold sword unless you poke Mothula, which demotes the damage class. In Randomizer, the developers had the foresight. They were going to say, we're not going to punish you for getting the gold sword, so When you're in Mothula's room, Gold Sword pretends like it's Tempered Sword and does Tempered Sword damage. AA got one of the two items from Mothula. The other item we know is in the front half of Skullwoods. I believe it's in the big chest, actually. So this is going to be a dungeon item. It's the map. fylion on the way to his Moth fight. fylion will get the bomb pack from Mothula and will know that there are no more items remaining in Skullwoods. So fylion will not have to make the trip under the bridge that AA just showed us. And so that's a few seconds that fylion will gain back. AA is going to be doing some checking here that fylion has already done. AA walking out of this room could have used the mirror. Would have been interesting. Let's see. AA is going to pick up, I believe, the big key here. Is going to mirror here to head back to this room to pull off a bomb jump. No, not to pull off a bomb jump. Bomb jump will take a little bit of time. So if this has the item, AA can skip it. It does not. So going to check this chest instead. Maybe he doesn't feel comfortable with the bomb jump. Maybe we'll take the vanilla route to the big chest. You're right. If AA had used the mirror at that point, he would have gone to the wrong chest in the other part of Skullwoods. To the wrong exit. You're right, I know this because this is another mistake that I have made. That I know how to do. So I would have made that mistake again. I would have mirrored and I would have been 2 rooms off from where I should have been. fylion doing some hammer dashes with the frog friend. Gets a big 20 in the hammer pegs. AmazingAmpharos observes the vampire skewer of destiny and elects to leave it exactly where it is. And the smiths give a heart. Phylion's in the right place to do the fake powder and elects to do it. Doesn't even have to do the fake powder. Can do the real powder. Is going to take the purple chest with him down into the hole. Does not have to do the fake powder. Can do the real powder, indeed. Can still actually elect to do fake powder. You can do fake powder even if you do have the real powder. And that will let you actually use the powder while you lack magic power. I've seen it done in a race before. A player was upstairs in Ganon's tower and wanted to get a life refill. I'm not sure if they were out of magic or if they didn't have the powder at all, but you can do fake powder without magic to use powder. So, fylion going to be lugging this purple chest around. You will note that fylion is going to be doing a nice slow walk with this chest, even though he has the boots. Because chest doesn't like to run. They actually wrote a song about that. You can dash if you want to. You can leave that chest behind. Because the chests don't dash, and if it don't dash, well, it's no chest of mine. Fylion. Fylion might not have grabbed the chest there. Oh, Fylion left the chest on the portal, and this might... No, Fylion loses the chest. Because he left it on the portal and couldn't pick it up when heading into the Dark World. You need to have the chest in your possession when you head into the portal, otherwise it'll disappear and head back to where it started. So that is another way you can leave your chest behind, if you don't have it with you when you head into the portal. Whew. So Fylion does not have the purple chest. This is another important point of divergence between these two runners. If that purple chest has something important... What important things do we still need? We need the flute, we need the ether. AA remembers to grab the chest before... Shovel turns out to be nothing. Fylion is in Green Pendant Swamp. And gets the first item. Pendant Swamp is tempting. Swamp has 6 items, and a green pendant makes it 7 if you lug that thing to Sahasrara. So, moment of truth for Fylion here. Did he mess up leaving that chest where it was? He did not. That item won't be important, but it will hang over Phylion's head. So Fylion may pour some time into grabbing that chest later on. AmazingAmpharos, heading into the Dark World in a similar location to Fylion, may very well head to the Pyramid Fairy now. That's a decent play. 2 items at Pyramid Fairy. In logic. So, we need ether, we need flute. Fylion gets another item in song. We need ether, we need flute, we need a Misery Mire medallion, which we don't know what it is yet. So, new stuff on both sides here. We're going to see the Pyramid Fairy on AA's side, 2 items there, and Fylion is going to give us the back of Swamp. Pyramid Fairy with a full heart and a 10 arrow pack. So Pyramid Fairy not paying off for AA. Back of Swamp with silvers for Fylion and a big key. Fylion heading to the nasty staircase is pulling off this dash, and so may very well not be getting trapped. This, I believe, is the trick to not get trapped. Nope, gets trapped. That's not a fun staircase. I don't exactly know how that works or how to avoid that myself. So, I just, I go for the staircase dance when I'm in the area. Big chest compass. So, I have to imagine AA is going to be getting those silver arrows. So both of our runners are going to have butter sword, silver arrows, red mail, green rupee in the waterfall room in Swamp. I don't believe we've seen anything important in Swamp yet. Fylion has left the left side of Swamp and is on the way to Argus. I can barely keep track of this race commentating on my own, so don't even ask me to start hypothesizing about Pedestal. I don't have the brain power to think about Pedestal. fylion gets a nice kill with a silver arrow. 1 silver arrow straight into Argus, and there's the Ether Medallion. So that is a required green pendant Argus kill. So thus far, we've seen the insides of 2 pendant dungeons, both of which have required items. The required Fire Rod in Pod Dark Maze, and the logically required lamp in Pod Vanilla Big Key Chest, and the required Ether Medallion on Green Pendant Argus. And fylion is not heading to the left side of Swamp. Yes, Silver is also in Swamp. The game expects you to have them logically. These runners will be happy to see them. Now, I wasn't keeping track. Are there just a map and a compass on the left side of Swamp, or do we have stuff there? Compass was found, and map was not, so there is 1 item on the left side of Swamp. Thank you, Dragon Master. fylion just narrowly avoids getting dead-rocked there, and is going to be making the Turtle Rock play. It is a dungeon that has a crystal. We can full clear it, so that's what we're going to do. Yep, doing a full clear of Turtle Rock is not a terrible idea, because Go Mode Turtle Rock and full clear Turtle Rock don't really have too much of a time difference, so you might as well. There are 5 items in Turtle Rock, I believe. Big key right away. At this point, Go Mode is Flute and potentially a Bombos Medallion for Meyer. We don't know what it is. Uh-oh. There we go. fylion misses a Fire Rod shot, gets it on the second try. If you're looking for Ether, you're going to see it right here on AA's side. There it is. AA is on Pendant Argus. So at this point, the green pendant is in play. AA can choose to turn it in. fylion did not. fylion came straight up to Turtle Rock, did not check the green pendant, has not checked the Pyramid Fairy. Pyramid Fairy on AA's side we saw. Wasn't anything too important. And AA is also skipping the item on left Swamp. fylion having a tough time with the Chain Chomp room. Cape Strats. To get the flute! The flute in the Chain Chomp room. Alrighty then. So at this point, we may be in Go Mode. We don't know. We don't know, because we have to go to Meyer. And fylion is saying, I'm going to go to Meyer. I'm going to turn on the flute, and I'm probably going to go straight to Meyer. fylion wants to know if he's in go mode. That's what the dip out of Turtle Rock is. fylion wants to know if he is in go mode or if the Bombos medallion is sitting in front of Misery Meyer. fylion knows that when he clears Meyer and Desert, he will be able to head up to Turtle Rock, finish it off, and go to Ganon's Tower. Turtle Rock definitely still needed, but fylion is going to try to hold it off for last. AA will not leave Death Mountain immediately. When AA gets the flute, he will either finish Turtle Rock right there, and whether or not he finishes Turtle Rock, he's going to go to Tower of Hera, I have to imagine. I guess AA... this is interesting. If AA checks Misery Meyer and knows that he has the medallion and he's in go mode, he could leave Tower of Hera for his last dungeon. And he could head to Ganon's Tower, mirror to Tower of Hera, finish Tower of Hera, and then head right back to Ganon's Tower. fylion sees that Quake is the medallion for Misery Meyer, and so we are indeed in go mode. AA is going to be in go mode when he picks up the flute in the Chain Chomp room, and fylion is in go mode already and is going to head into Misery Meyer right now. We'll clear Misery Meyer, hoping for a God Meyer. We'll mirror and clear Desert. We'll head right back up to Turtle Rock, and we'll do as best he can to go mode that dungeon. So, fylion is hoping for a Godmire, that's what I said. A Godmire is when the big key is in pretty much one of the first two chests, so you don't have to go hunting for it. So, fylion is hoping to find the big key here or in the next chest, and if he doesn't, he will have to go looking for it. It might very well be in the nasty cutscene room. So, there's only one more place for a Godmire big key. AA with the flute is going to finish Turtle Rock. So... AA does not have the knowledge that Meyer is Quake. There's the God Meyer. fylion gets to head straight to Vitreous. So, fylion gets the God Meyer, will clear Meyer, will mirror, will clear Desert, will finish off Turtle Rock and be done with it. AA is going to finish Turtle Rock. AA does not yet know what the Misery Meyer medallion is, but is doing a go mode clear, it looks like. AA is not checking the vanilla big key location in Turtle Rock, which is interesting. So it looks like AA is playing Turtle Rock. Oh yeah, he's skipping the big chest as well. Look at that. So this is a huge time-saving play on AA's part. He could check the big chest, he could check the Mimic Cave even. That's a big time sink. But AA is opting to skip that. That is a very gutsy play on his part, and in this seed, it's the right play. Checking this chest because it's on the way. But AA knows there's a 2/3 chance he has the medallion he needs, and you're going to see a Silver's fight from Vitreous. When I say you're going to see it, I mean you got to pay attention, because it's almost done at this point. There you go. Vitreous is done. So yes, if you guys blinked, you missed that fight. Also, if you guys blinked, you should consider yourself lucky. That poor eyeball has no eyelids. None of them do. You should feel sorry for all the poor eyeballs in the world that don't have eyelids. These eyes have eyelids, but they also shoot lasers, so you shouldn't feel sorry for them. AA doing the laser skip. Is doing it without using the boots. Quite frequently, runners will use the dash to get these laser skips. fylion gets a small key in the first chest in Desert. There's the compass, so AA needs to be getting a key from this last chest here. And there it is. fylion gets the big key, and fylion knows I don't need to check anything else. fylion right on the way to land Molus. So, boss fight on AA's side. Each head of Trinex will take 3 gold sword hits after getting stunned with the appropriate rod. AA wisely knows that you gotta switch the rod before the head starts exploding. You can't menu when the heads are exploding. So, Trinex gonna go down real fast here. Pulls off a double spin and 1 slash to take out Trinex. AA gets a vanilla heart container off of the boss of Turtle Rock. AA, saving and quitting, is going to turn on the flute and head to Meyer. We'll be very happy to see the Quake Medallion symbol on the floor in front of Meyer. fylion takes out his boss. So fylion has a Turtle Rock clear left, but fylion has already finished the first floor. AA has 2 dungeons to go in... No, actually, AA has Mire and Desert and Tower of Hera to go. But Tower of Hera is not going to be too nasty, because you can head to Tower of Hera in the Dark World, mirror in front of it, mirror in front of GT, clear Tower of Hera, and head right back. fylion takes a bit of a dive off the ledge there. AA about to get the news that he is in go mode. He's not even checking, he's just going for it. He knows I got a 2/3 chance of getting in, I'm going in. So frequently, the medallion for Misery Mire is in the Mire Shed, and the medallion for Turtle Rock is in the Hookshot Cave, so a lot of runners will gamble on being able to get into those dungeons when they get to the appropriate place. It's just like, I'll pick up the key from under the doormat. I think that's AA with a slightly cleaner room there in the beginning of Mire. The huge difference thus far in where these players have gone is just routing, and a big part of it is fylion went into Pendant Pod and got both fire sources, the lamp and the fire rod, and was able to clear Tower of Hera the first time. AA went into Tower of Hera without a fire source and was not able to clear it. We'll come back to it, presumably just before GT. AA with the God Mire as well. Well, of course, you know, they're both playing the same seed, so sometimes I just have to say silly, obvious things like that. I believe there are some rando communities where they give the two racers different seeds, and we're not like that. Yep, if you're a fan of Ice Palace, we're not going to see Ice Palace today. Also, if you're a fan of Ice Palace, like, what's wrong with you? fylion is also choosing to check that chest there in the roller room, while AA is going to give us the really fast Vitreous fight. 2 silvers right to the eye. It's kind of redundant to say that you shot Vitreous in the eye. You shot Vitreous in the Vitreous, right? fylion is looking for the last small key. It is on the very last chest on Laser Bridge. That's his vanilla location, if I recall correctly. Gets the Sank Heart. Gets the last small key. Helmasaur's a bit of a meanie, sends fylion into the pit. fylion, on his last boss fight, we'll be picking up his 7th crystal here. We are not on the Speed Gaming network of channels, so I can't start the bot and have you guys guess big key locations for the leaderboard, but you are more than welcome to throw your numbers in the chat for brownie points. There are 22 locations in Ganon's Tower that can have the big key, so we will count on fylion's screen, and once we figure out where the big key is, we will announce it, and then you can brag if you got it right. You can brag if you got it wrong, too. You can brag about participating. I'm not going to judge you for that. I'm a millennial, right? That means I'm supposed to appreciate participation trophies or something like that, right? So yeah, everybody who guesses a number gets to brag about guessing a number. We actually, over the weekend, I believe, had somebody guess 24 and win. Because it was in Tile Room 22, and 24 happened to be the closest guess. So you can guess 24 if you want. AA killing land molas as fylion heads into Ganon's Tower. Exclamation point stop, or something like that. fylion heading to the right side. This is the traditional start. Small key in chest 1, bombs in chest 2. fylion going to continue on the way to the right side. Yeah, we're observing in chat that there are a lot of rando races going on simultaneously. During the Swiss stage lasted 8 weeks in total. 7 rounds in 8 weeks. And I believe over those 8 weeks, we produced more video rando content than 8 weeks worth of content. So we produce rando at a quicker rate than time actually passes, at least in the Swiss phase. fylion, continuing on the right side, gets the book. We don't need literacy today. Gets something unimportant, and something unimportant. So those were chests. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Gets a key, mirrors out. Is going to look at the torch next. The torch will be number 7. Whether or not we pick it up, we count it. We will pick it up. Because it's a small key, we'd like to have that. So gets a small key in location number 7. You're seeing on AA's side the correct routing for when you have Tower of Hera as your last dungeon. You head over in the Dark World, you mirror in front of it, you head up to Moldorm, kick his butt, kick his tail, right? And then head right back into the Dark World. There's our last medallion. There is a heart. 8, 9, 10, and 11. All right. We are on our way to chest 12. That will be in the double firebar room. I believe that's the room that has the map in vanilla Ganon's Tower. Nothing today. Our tracker is expressing some consternation at getting items here in Ganon's Tower. I know when I'm playing personally, I don't even bother with my tracker anymore in Ganon's Tower. Once I'm in Go mode, I don't really click anymore. But our trackers are a little more dedicated than I am, so they will be keeping track of the book and the bombos and the everything. The Fire Snake room is going to be chest 13, and fylion will find in it $300. So we are on the way to what we call the Rando Room. And it is called the Rando Room because you will only ever see it in a randomizer match. Because in the vanilla game it has who knows what. Arrows and bombs or something like that. So we're going to see 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay. Okie dokie. AmazingAmpharos doing a Go mode Tower of Hera is not going to pick up the half magic from the big chest. That should not make too much of a difference. Some runners, if they have half magic, will use the fire rod and the gauntlet to nuke those enemies. But AA has the butter sword, which will take Moldorm out in 2 swipes. 1, 2. So AA on the verge of picking up his last crystal. Bob's chest, number 18 this seed, has a small key. 3 more chests before the tile room. So AA entering the tower. Uh-oh. Uh-oh! Well, fylion is heading into the tile room. So AA is going to be entering the tower before fylion picks up the big key. So this race has gotten a lot closer on account of this tile room. Will AA make the tile room gamble? I doubt it, personally. AA will not make the tile room gamble. AA won't even check the right side. fylion is using a nice strat here. If you grab the cape, if you turn on the cape and grab the wall, the game doesn't drain your magic. A common refrain when you're discussing Link to the Past is, the game doesn't know how to do 2 things at the same time. A lot of the glitches, a lot of the bugs are trying to do 2 things at the same time, and the game just throws its hands up and like, I don't know. And this is a good example of how we can use it to good effect. You pull on the wall, you try and wear the cape, the game is like, fine, you just cape, fine. Well, there is the big key in Ganon's Tower. fylion, on the way up the gauntlet, heads to the third floor at just about 1 hour and 30 minutes. AA skipped the right side and is doing the traditional route, so I imagine we're not going to be seeing the big key on AA's side until every other option is exhausted. And we'll be spending quite a bit of time clearing the basement of Ganon's Tower here. fylion with the silvers takes out these mimics one hit. Key dash up through that corridor. Did you guys hear my dog? My dog decided to bark while I had the mic open. I guess it's a Maltese, actually. They're all good dogs. Alright, fylion makes clean work of the gauntlet while AA is on to Bob's chest. Landmo's not getting a 1 cycle with those silver arrows. I think that was a 2 cycle. fylion is crossing this bridge, gets a nice clean kill with the cane strat in that first room, gonna cane strat the second room. That's one of those tricks that feels good to pull off. Kill 4 enemies at the same time. If you're interested in getting into Rando, I can highly recommend it for a number of reasons, and one of the reasons is that a lot of the cool-looking strats are not actually all that difficult to pull off, so you can feel pretty good. fylion avoids the Ganon's Tower despawn. That's probably one of the only things that could have put this race back in AA's grasp at this point. That Ganon Tower despawn happens when you head upstairs on the same frame the door in the other room locks. And that is a real pain because you gotta mirror out and climb up again. fylion making use of the powder to grab some life, leaves that chest before Moldorm 2. One dash and 1 spin takes down Moldorm 2. And fylion on the way to Aghanim 2. We call it Aghanim 2. Fortunately, we didn't see Aghanim 1 this seed. Our runners are probably happy about that. While AA now has the bad news that he's got to do the tile room. fylion begins the final exam in geometry and pulls off what looks like a triple. Those last 2 could have happened simultaneously, in which case the game will not count them. So it might be 3, it might be 2 at this point. He whiffed on that second round there. He whiffs on the third round as well. This is a better lineup. Definitely gets 2 there. So it's either 1 or 2 more, and this should be it. I think that was 3-0-0-2-1, something like that. So fylion passes the final exam in geometry, and is on his way to Ganon. We'll be taking on Ganon with half magic, red mail, tempered sword, silver arrows. I reckon that this will not be too much of a challenge for him. AmazingAmpharos is heading up the tower, about 5 minutes behind fylion, as fylion begins phase 1 of Ganon. fylion has made it through phase 1 of Ganon in 1 cycle. fylion does not get a 1 cycle on phase 2, so this is going to be a 1+2 cycle rather than a 1+1. It is possible to pull off the 1+1 cycle with the Tempered Sword. That is the usual NMG strat. But the Butter Sword makes it a whole lot easier to pull off the 1+1. fylion gets the first hit in phase 3, gets the second hit in phase 3, gets the third hit in phase 3, and gets the fourth hit in phase 3. So we are now on to the Stick Ganon with the Silver Arrows phase. And fylion does so with the first Silver Arrow, grabs the Torch Glitch, is in pretty good position, gets a double here, and puts the last arrow in Ganon here to finish it up. Provided fylion can successfully get through the door, and I'm pretty confident he can, fylion will take Game 2 of this match to even it up and force Game 3. Get your GGs in chat for fylion. fylion has finished with an official speedracing.tv time of 1 hour, 36 minutes, and 41 seconds. GG to fylion. So fylion has forced Game 3. He's in our waiting room, so I'm going to go ahead and bring him in while AA is finishing up GT.
Thank you. Hey, did you solo com this? Nice work.
Yes, I did solo com. Thank you. I mean, you're assuming it's nice work. You got to go back and watch it and see. What did you think of that seed?
That was a weird one in that it was one of those ones that just kind of opened up everything, then gave you nothing, and then everything fell into place soon after we found the flute. Or, I'm sorry, Ether. Like, Ether showed up and I said, okay, flute's in Turtle Rock. And I'm positive AA said the exact same thing.
Yep. AA went to Turtle Rock pretty much right away. AA did a few more checks than you did at that stage. AA checked the Pyramid Fairy. AA turned in the Mushroom, so that was a sword. So AA has Gold Sword. But
that's where that was.
Yep, so you skipped out on the Pyramid Fairy, you skipped out on the Mushroom, and you just went straight to Turtle Rock. You grabbed that flute, and you dipped out of Turtle Rock immediately.
Yeah, so at that point, I was fairly sure I was behind, and we'll get into why in a second. I see the question in chat.
Yes,
I was behind, and I figured that one way I could make up time, potentially, would be have AA check all of Turtle Rock, looking maybe for bombos, and I would find out if I was in go mode or not. And it turns out if you leave at the Chomp Room or before in Turtle Rock, you're wasting almost no time, because you have to be up there anyways. Yeah. So it didn't end up mattering, and I think he said he skipped all that stuff anyways, but that was the idea.
Yeah, AA pretty much go-moded Turtle Rock without knowing the Meyer Medallion. And so he did not lose that time in Turtle Rock. The big difference maker, you've already been chatting with AA, you might know this already. The big difference maker was you dipped Pendant Pod and got both fire sources, and you were able to do Hera in one go. AA went into Hera and was fire locked immediately.
Yeah, that would hurt a bit. Fortunately, half magic doesn't slow AmazingAmpharos down.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, and he's finishing up his Aghanim 2 fight right now on the stream, and we'll be heading into Ganon. So tell us, fylion, what was that save and quit right before Mothula?
Okay, so while I was fighting Moldorm, a coworker gave me a call and needed some servers backed up. I'm assisted day-to-day. And so that's why I stood around after Moldorm waiting for the crystal to drop, because I wasn't fully focused. The culmination of all of that was I fire-rotted Swamp Palace open as I was trying to do some work, and dropped my controller. And when I picked it up, or grabbed it as it was falling, I hit save and quit. And that was where things shifted from, okay, this run has been okay, but it's had a couple issues, to, oh no, what is going on? Everything is ruined.
Well, as it turns out, everything was not ruined. You have secured Game 3 of this matchup. Anything you're looking forward to or not looking forward to happening in Game 3?
Obviously I'm looking forward to hopefully beating AA again, but that'll be a tough challenge. He's very good at this game. I have huge respect for him as a racer. He's actually one of the reasons I started playing this game a year ago. So, really, I'm just going to be happy if I get to race him again.
Well, you will race him again. You're scheduled, I believe, for Game 3 will be tomorrow at 8:30. That's what I've got on my notes here. AA has finished up the Ganon fight, and we'll be walking through that door shortly. I will grab the... Okay, we got AA in the waiting room. I'll pull him in. Hey there, AA. I've pulled you in. GG.
Yeah, good games, fylion. That was... in the first seed, my decisions couldn't help but pay off. In this one, it was a little different.
Yeah, that's kind of gathered. I kind of just doubled down on what I was doing the first time, which was I'm going to try to avoid sequence breaking, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I doubled down on what I did last time, which is I'm in no hurry to go to CAC, and I'm going to go to crystal dungeons I can clear and do overworld if I can't, and man, all of that was wrong.
Kakariko was loaded, yes. You are keeping pretty good pace, though, AA, even putting the Kakariko off. I think you've probably realized by now that heading up to Hera without a fire source is where the divergence in time started to happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of when things spiraled. Hera itself not having the fire source didn't really matter because I didn't have to come back until GT and I had the mirror. What really hurt was, I think, my decision to full clear the overworld, basically, after I got the Fire Rod out of Pod, instead of just doing Skullwoods and doing Swamp right away.
Yep, you did things that you did that fylion didn't do. You did the Pyramid Fairy, you turned in the Mushroom, that's why you have gold and fylion only had Tempered. Interesting thing, fylion, you lost the purple chest. You were trying to drag it with you, and you lost it on the portal there.
Yep, that happened. I concur.
Yes, it did happen. It didn't, of course, cost you because it was just a piece of heart. But every time something like that happens, I know at least for me, I have those things crawling around in the back of my head.
Yeah, and like, did fylion do the North of Grave stuff? Because I did all that too, and that's always an annoying divergence.
I believe you did, right?
Did not do Graveyard Ledge, but I did do King's Tomb.
Oh, I did the two of them together when I peeked at Bumper Cave, which is the only hint I had that shields were a mechanic in this game.
Shields?
Who needs shields?
Yeah, shoutouts to the 2 shields and half magic that are probably in Ice Palace.
Half magic was in fylion knows. It's in the big chest in Tower of Terror, which you go moded.
Oh, great! I always love skipping a useful item like that.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
There's one question I have for you, and it's about Palace of Darkness. Did you do it in the dark and then find the lamp as well?
No, I had the lamp up front, and I rolled my eyes, because that was the thing, when I sequence broke Death Mountain, I figured the item I was skipping was the lamp. And I'm like, if I can find the Fire Rod on Death Mountain, then I can just never go and get the lamp from Palace of Darkness. But then, the Fire Rod was in Palace of Darkness, and that was not good.
No, that was not a nice spot for it to be in.
So, as I was mentioning earlier, you two are scheduled for Game 3 tomorrow night, Thursday, at 8:30 p.m. Any thoughts about what you're looking forward to in Game 3, AA?
I don't know. I kind of don't do the same thing every time. I would like to not have boots in a really easy place. I check like 10 minutes later. That would be just a nice little perk. But otherwise, I don't know. I'll go places and hopefully they'll be correct.
Let's switch it up tomorrow. I'll do all the sequence breaks. You do everything within logic.
And we've got your opponent. Whoever wins this match will be up against Mentos Man 8. He's there in chat. Anything you want to say to Mentos Man 8? Anything anything you want to say?
No, not really. It's like the classic sports thing. You don't look past the game you're about to play. You're just not supposed to do it, right? It's a taboo.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just, play one game at a time.
Well, and he wants us to tie, and I've had enough of those this tournament, so I'm not looking at him at all. I'm looking at tomorrow. I'm looking at another good match.
That is a good mindset, I imagine, to be in. Do either of you have any last words about this seed before I wrap things up?
Not really. Things weren't where I wanted them to be, but that's how it goes sometimes. Rando.
Yeah, this was a suitably rando weirdness seed.
Yep, that is rando, is it not? So, thank you all of you for watching. I will remind you that this has been a great race. You've seen some great stuff going on, so throw both of these guys a follow. And I want to give a big shout out, especially while doing solo comms, to our tracker today, who is DragonMaster0283, and our restreamer, NoName4444, who his Twitch handle is SassProGuy. We'll get all of these links up in chat. Throw these fellows some follows. They've all done a great job today. I really appreciate the support of the staff today, doing this all by myself. It's been a lot of fun watching you two.
Yeah, I look forward to the watch back.
Yeah, and thanks for providing comm and the restream and everyone for that. And I'll catch everyone tomorrow.
Yep, if you want more rando action, tonight we've got a race that just started 19 minutes ago on Speed Gaming 5. That's a good one. Felix TC versus Zaphod Beeblebrox IV. We've got a race on Speed Gaming 3 in 40 minutes. Someone 325 versus Julo Ninja. I think we've got Willard J. Bradley and Vooligen later tonight. These are all great races. Follow the Speed Gaming channels 1 through 6 and the ALTTP Randomizer channels 1 through 4 for more rando action throughout the remainder of this tournament. I've been Firewood King. This has been a blast. Have a good evening, morning, whatever you got going on. Enjoy it.